Did you know that according to psychologist Carl Jung, your personality is made up of different types of psychological components? One of these components are called archetypes, and even though they're not immediately obvious, they'll have a huge impact on how you think, feel, and behave. In fact, it's what motivates your decisions, actions, and reactions to the world around you. So today we are going to take a look at what Jung meant by archetypes and why it's important to understand them. But before we get into all of that, if you want a safe and supportive space where you can be your authentic self and learn to love yourself exactly as you are, make sure to stay tuned for new videos. Also, a quick reminder, this video is for educational purposes only and is not intended to substitute a professional diagnosis or treatment. If you suspect you may have one of these conditions, please reach out to a mental health provider near you. And now let's begin. According to Jung, archetypes are universal, meaning they apply to everyone, and are found in the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious is a term coined by Jung to describe the deeper layer of the unconscious mind that is shared by all humans. It's like a giant database of experiences, memories, and ideas that have been passed down from our ancestors and that we all have access to. These archetypes aren't things we're consciously aware of, but they still influence how we think and behave in the world. One way they affect us is through our conscious personality. Jung believed that we each have a persona, which is basically the part of ourselves that we show to the world. Our persona is made up of the various roles we play in society, like being a student, a friend, a coworker, or a child, and it's shaped by the expectations of those around us. For example, if you're in a job that requires you to be very serious and professional, you might show up to work dressed in a suit and tie, and you might avoid talking about your personal life with your colleagues. But if you were hanging out with friends after work, you might wear a hoodie and sneakers and talk about your weekend plans. You're adapting to the social situation by changing your behavior and the way you present yourself, and your persona plays a big role in that. However, according to Jung, our persona is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, there are other parts of our personality that are also influenced by our archetypes and understanding. These can help us become more aware of the different parts of ourselves and how they interact with the world. Here are some of the most common ones. Number 1, the self. This archetype represents our true essence or core identity. According to Jung, the self is the center of the psyche, the part that remains constant even as we go through different phases of life. It's what gives us a sense of wholeness and completeness. The self is like the captain of a ship who's steering towards a particular destination, and in order to do that, the captain needs to be fully aware of their surroundings and have a clear understanding of their goals. Similarly, the self needs to integrate all the different parts of our personality in order to function properly. When our self is strong, we feel confident and capable of dealing with whatever challenges come our way. However, when it's weak, we may feel lost or directionless. Number 2, the persona. Like we mentioned earlier, the persona is the part of our personality that we show to the world. It is the mask we wear in social situations, and it as shaped by the expectations of those around us. For example, you might put on a persona when you're at work or school, when you're with your friends, or even when you're talking to your family. Your persona can be a helpful tool for navigating social situations. However, it can also be a source of conflict if we identify too strongly with it. If we become too attached to our persona, we might start to believe that it is the only thing people see us as, and we might feel like we need to live up to its expectations all the time. This can lead to stress, anxiety, and even depression. Number 3, the shadow. The shadow is the part of our personality that contains all the traits and behaviors that we find unacceptable. Because of this, we usually try to hide our shadow from others and even from ourselves. We might not want to admit that we have any negative qualities or that we are capable of doing harmful things, but by denying our shadow, we don't actually make it go away. Instead, it continues to grow and fester beneath the surface. Eventually, our shadow can become so big that it starts to affect our relationships and our ability to function in the world. For example, if you have a lot of anger inside, you might lash out and say something you don't mean. Or if you're feeling really insecure, you might act out and do something risky. When we're able to acknowledge and integrate our shadow, we become more whole and complete human beings. But if we try to keep it hidden, we might end up hurting ourselves and those around us. Number 4, the anima and animus. The anima and animus archetypes represent the feminine and masculine aspects of our personality, respectively. Jung believed that everyone has both anima and animus, regardless of their gender. For example, a man might have a strong anima, which would manifest as qualities like nurturing, compassion, and intuition. A woman might have a strong animus, which could look like assertiveness, independence, and rationality. When these archetypes are in balance, we're able to form healthy relationships with others. But if they're out of balance, it can cause problems in our personal and romantic lives. For example, if a man's anima is too strong, he might be overly critical of himself and feel guilty if he doesn't live up to his own expectations of what a good father or husband should be like. On the other hand, if his animus is too strong, he might struggle with intimacy and feel uncomfortable expressing his emotions. Number 5, the father and mother. These archetypes represent the different parenting styles we experience growing up. They can have a big impact on our relationships as adults, as well as our ability to form our own identity. For example, if you had a strict and authoritative father figure in your life, you might be more likely to be obedient and respectful towards authority as an adult, but you might also be prone to people-pleasing behaviors. On the other hand, if you had a mother who was very nurturing and emotionally supportive, you might be more likely to be sensitive and caring towards other people. But you might also struggle with setting boundaries and asserting yourself. The last one is number 6, the wise old man or woman. This archetype represents wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. It's the archetype that we often turn to when we're looking for guidance or advice. For example, if you're struggling with a difficult decision, you might ask a wise old man or woman for their thoughts on the matter. By tapping into this archetype, we're able to access the collective wisdom of humanity and get a better understanding of the situation. This archetype is especially important in times of transition or change, when we're going through a major life event such as graduating from school or starting a new job. We often turn to wise old men or women for guidance because we know that they have the experience and knowledge to help us navigate these challenging times. Jung believed that we each have all these archetypes inside of us, but some are more dominant than others. As we go through different situations in life, different archetypes will become more active. For example, if you're going through a divorce, the wounded child archetype might become more active as you experience feelings of grief and loss. If you start a new job, the apprentice archetype might become more active as you learn the ropes and figure out your place in the company. Understanding which archetypes are active at any given time can help us better understand ourselves and the motivations behind our actions. Furthermore, Jung believed that it's important to integrate more archetypes into our conscious personality. By doing so, we become more whole and complete human beings and are better able to cope with the challenges that life throws our way. This is because when we use more of our archetypes, we are able to tap into the collective wisdom of humanity and access a deeper well of strength and resilience. So what are your thoughts on this video? Which archetype resonates with you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and remember, you are amazing just the way you are. Thanks for watching. See you next time.